I've never lived in a haunted house, but my mother did as a teen. Other houses on her street had strange things going on too. A few homes away from her lived a family. One night, the daughter went to bed with a bad headache. The next day, she was dead. She'd passed away from an aneurysm. After her funeral, the family went away to get their minds off the tragedy, and the father asked my uncle, my mom's brother, to check on their pets. My mom and dad, who were dating at the time, went with him. My mother had heard there was a grand piano, and she wanted to play it. My dad was studying to be a veterinarian. After entering the house, my uncle and my father headed to the basement to see the animals, and my mother went to the piano on the ground floor. She was playing it when she felt something brush her ankles. She thought a cat must have left the basement and walked past her. She kept playing, and then she felt it again. She looked under the piano and saw nothing. When she started again, she felt hands clasp her legs tightly. Back outside, my uncle could tell my mom was rattled and asked what was wrong. She told him what had happened, and he turned white. He told her the daughter who had died used to play a game with her father. When he played the piano, she'd crawl underneath, grab his ankles and push his feet up and down on the pedals. A few years ago, I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Melbourne, Australia. They went on to recall. It was my first time living on my own. The apartment block had been built in the 1930s. I'd been there for a few months when I came home from work one day and went into the bathroom. I saw something strange. A wooden board, which had covered a hole in the ceiling that led to a small attic space, lay fractured in two pieces on the ground. I examined the pieces. The board was an inch thick, and it would have taken Bruce Lee to break it. I thought the landlord had sent someone to work on the attic. I was frozen stiff with fear. Someone is up there for sure, I thought. I emailed pictures to the landlord, asking if anyone had been there, with an undertone of annoyance, since she hadn't warned me. Her reply read, "Please call me as soon as you are able to." I called, and she explained that her last two tenants had said the same thing happened. She promised to replace the board, and she did. A month later, I woke up one night around a.m. My body was covered in goosebumps. It felt like someone was rubbing his or her hands on me. Everything was silent, but then I heard a dragging sound coming from above my bed. That's when I saw that the new board covering the hole was broken in two. I felt sick. The dragging sound had stopped, but I heard something else, whispering. The sound was clear and coming from the attic. It sounded like children's voices, and I could hear one sentence repeated over and over. "It's your turn. It's your turn." I switched on every light in the apartment to make things feel normal. It was a.m. and dark outside. I watched TV to try to unwind. Then a fuse blew. My pet budgie, Dexter, whom I kept in the kitchen, usually never made a sound at night, but he started squawking like he was being strangled. I'd never heard him make those sorts of noises. He was screaming. I grabbed my car keys, ran out, sat in my car and waited there until the sun came up. When I saw people walking their dogs, this comforted me enough to go back in. The front door was open, but I figured I might have forgotten to close it when I ran out. I went to the kitchen to check on Dexter, but he wasn't in his cage. I felt sick again. All my windows were closed, so I looked everywhere inside. When I walked to the bathroom, I heard splashing. Dexter was half drowned in the toilet. I took him out, washed him and dried him. I was so confused. At a.m., I called the landlord and gave her a watered-down version of the night. "Oh, wow, you heard the whispering too," she said. I stayed in that apartment for another 18 months. I heard the whispering on a few occasions, and twice the board covering the hole in the ceiling moved. Although I live elsewhere now, the landlord recently called. She said that her new tenants had begged to speak with me about some of the stuff that's been going on there. Forget it, it's their problem now. My house has always been a little haunted, with unexplained noises such as walking and knocking. But never in my 19 years of living here has anything so terrifying happened. It was midwinter, so the days would get dark around 4, so by 6 o'clock it would be pitch black. I was home alone looking after my 1-year-old nephew. It was about 7 o'clock and I was waiting for my mom to come home to see my nephew before I put him to bed. Time was getting on and my nephew was getting tired and restless, so decided to just bath and bed him. So I went to give my nephew a bath and everything seemed normal, until I heard a female voice downstairs call my name. Thinking it was my mom, I shouted back saying we're in the bathroom, which was upstairs. After no reply, shouted again, which was answered with silence. So I just continued washing my nephew. He got a bit upset as some water got into his eyes. As I stopped, he stopped crying and he was looking forward towards the bathroom wall, smiling and laughing. I kneeled on the floor beside the bath and asked him what he was laughing at as there was nothing there. He looked at me and quickly turned back and started babbling to the wall as if someone or something was there. I felt uneasy and a bit scared, so I took him out while he was looking over my shoulder at the bath. I put him down on my bed to dry. When I got up to get his moisturizer, which was on a side table opposite the door, a dark figure walked past my door. Thinking it was my mum, I poked my head round to see, but no one was there. Creeped out. I just wanted this night over, so went to moisturize my nephew, and doing so, he kept looking over my shoulder and smiling. Then when I went to get his pajamas, he all of a sudden started screaming and crying as if he was scared. As I was standing there holding my nephew close to my chest, feeling scared, my mum, brother, and dad came home. Feeling better. I wasn't alone. I put my nephew to bed and set up his baby monitor, thinking the scariest night of my life was over. As I was standing there holding my nephew close to my chest, feeling scared, my mum, brother, and dad came home. Feeling better. I wasn't alone. I put my nephew to bed and set up his baby monitor, thinking the scariest night of my life was over. Half an hour after my nephew had gone to sleep, his baby monitor turned on. As I went to pick it up, a loud thud, followed by a scream and crying, came from the room my nephew was sleeping in. Till this day, I have no idea what happened that night.